Fellas, do you love British weather but hate British people?
I do.
Do you own 7 pairs of Doc Martens and platform shoes?
No.
Maybe you've even had the urge to drink a PBR while bicycling naked with a flamethrower.
Haven't we all?
Gents, you may be suffering from Portlandia.
Oh, God.
Hi, I'm low-tax speedrun enjoyer with the Normal Men podcast. Portlandia affects billions of otherwise normal men across America every day. The good news, though, is there is a treatment available. Scientists from the University of Oregon's Phil Knight Center for the Study of People Who Eat at the Burnside Taco Bell have developed Tragic Lovers and their new EP, Blue Blood by Way of Glacier. Portlandia doesn't have to rule your life. Talk to your edibles dealer about Tragic Lovers, or simply go to tragiclovers.com to have Tragic Lovers shipped directly to your home. Tragic Lovers, Portland post-punk.
This is Normal Men, a podcast from 4 men who are clinging desperately to normalcy in an era when that's asking a bit too much. I'm George in Charlotte.
In D.C., I'm Proctor Malone.
In Outer Florida, I'm low-tax speedrun enjoyer.
And I'm Ed in Boston.
We actually just lied to you. George is off this week in Portugal with his lovely wife, but we have a pinch hitter. Please welcome Go Like Hell Machine back to Normal Men.
Who's he?
Good question.
Oh, God, that fucking guy.
Dr. Machine, what have the Tragic Lovers been up to?
Paying us for an ad. They did not pay us for an ad.
We've been playing a bunch of shows and watching all of the excitement that all of you have been reading about in the national news here in Portland.
Ah, you're playing the home game.
So we are quasi-occupied, we will say. It has been weird to watch over the weekend. At some point, while we're talking, you might even get some real Portland authenticity and hear helicopters passing over my apartment building.
Portland with occupied characteristics.
Yes.
All right.
It's a little bit like 2020, but it's farce. In 2020, we had helicopters all over the place, too. This time, it's federal helicopters, and they're circling around one building rather than one block.
What you got to do is you got to get that guy in the inflatable frog costume and get him attached to just like a bunch of drones and chase the helicopters away.
That guy is a national hero. If you haven't seen these, and I'm filling in for Proctor now, there's a vertical video going around of a guy in an inflatable frog costume just standing at the do not cross line for U.S. government property and gyrating. I think that's the fairest way to put it.
Big hip action on that frog.
Yeah, this has become a thing at like every Portland protest. It seems like you've got folks in different types of inflatable costumes. There's the guy who has been showing up in the chicken costume with an American flag cape. Even I know that when Niedermeyer was doing Tesla protests, he would show up in a shark costume doing ballet dancing.
Wait, is there video of this?
I don't know. There might be. I'll have to check with him.
I need to see Niedermeyer in the shark costume.
This is kind of how Portland responds to this kind of thing. You know, you hear a lot about Warzone. You hear a lot about the city burning down and us being Antifa controlled. And then when you go out and you see the reality of it, it's a bunch of people gyrating in inflatable costumes at ice dunes who are spraying like tear gas at them.
They did like directly tear gas that guy's breathing port, which seemed a little over the line.
I'm pretty sure that Portland in a generation or two is going to produce people who are completely immune to tear gas, just given how often we get tear gassed in this city.
I like that you see at protests. I remember this especially back during the George Floyd protests. There would always be the group of people with drums, and then the one guy in the middle of them wearing a big Elmo costume. Remember those guys? Except in Portland, it's like the whole city is engaged in this absurdity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is kind of what you moved to Portland for. Like, you're not really moving here for jobs at this point. You're not really moving here for like cost of living at this point. You know, what you move here for is people in inflatable costumes giving the finger to the authorities.
I imagine you got to have like a protest costume and, you know, an everyday costume because you don't want to get tear gas out on people.
You got to get
when
your
you're
work. You got to get your home. Yeah.
So it sounds like morale is holding up okay.
Yeah, pretty well. At least amongst people I know. And we were out. We played a show this weekend. We were out all kind of around town yesterday. And other people I talked to, everybody is annoyed by this. Everybody is pissed off about it. No one's really afraid of this. One of the most annoying things about it is that everyone watches news stories which are just grossly inaccurate. They were lies in 2020 and they're obscene lies now. My sister was texting me from Oklahoma and she was saying that the news that they see makes it look really serious. And so I sent her the clip of aforementioned frog gyrator. It's frustrating because this isn't what Portland is. Portland has had a really difficult time recovering from COVID and recovering from 2020. And this just feels like an attempt to try to kick us in the balls right as we're getting back up. Things are actually improving. We've got more traffic. We've got more business. Things are pretty nice. It's also gorgeous. Like it is incredible to hear the president of the United States talk about the war zone when I'm watching like the red maple leaves fall in my front yard. It's the perfect time of year here.
Yeah, this is the sweet spot for Portland weather for sure. This is right before the long dark, which if you're not Portland affiliated, you may be unfamiliar with, but Portland gets dark and stays dark for a while. The days get short. It gets rainy. We'll see if the California National Guard can survive that, I guess.
The California National Guard needs to be on their best behavior because these people Californians all retire to Portland and Oregon in general, and where they come and ruin everybody's traffic.
Wait, you're at 45 degrees north and you're complaining about a long dark? Boston is 42.
Yeah, but Ed, you have streetlights that were manufactured in the 20th century.
I mean, let's not go there. I live in the suburbs, thank you. But like, that just seems like
You think it's stolen valor?
I do, especially growing up in like the woods of Maine where it's dark at 4:30. And honestly, then we have our Canadian brothers and sisters who, God help them, to be honest. Although they all live right on the border, so like, eh.
Forged in the gloom.
I hated it when I was in grad school because it would get dark at like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's always moist too.
Yeah, I live on the west side of Portland, which you could probably film a miniseries about Jack the Ripper in. That's about the level of redevelopment and reinvestment we've had in the west side of Portland.
So just to bring everybody up to speed on the current legal status of the occupation in Portland, as of Sunday, October 5th, because this is moving very quickly, we first had a declaration that there were going to be troops sent to Portland and that the Oregon National Guard was going to be federalized to occupy Portland. In addition to that, we have the usual suspects, at least some portion of the skull cracking squad that they're sending around from city to city, made up of federal law enforcement agents, has gone to
in
Portland.
Oddly poorly fitting Temu clothes.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the uniforms. It feels like they could do better, particularly
some
if
of these guys look like they've got sweatpants. I don't think you can oppress and I don't think you can occupy a city in sweatpants. Unless
not this city.
Not on this continent, let's put it that way.
Do you know how many fashion graduates we have that move out here?
They're mean too.
Yeah. How's Nike doing for him?
So we already had the Trump administration got an adverse ruling from a Trump-appointed judge that was maybe a little bit of a surprise to those of us who were expecting a Trump-appointed judge to rule for them, but a very welcome surprise. She put together what I thought was a very well-reasoned opinion about the non-necessity of federalizing the National Guard in Portland because there were not conditions of emergency backed up by lots of statements from the administration and a timeline that demonstrated that this emergency that Trump, I guess, thinks is happening is not, in fact, happening in Portland. It may or may not have happened in Portland 5 years ago during the BLM protests, but it definitely is not happening right now.
I almost sort of leaned in with a made it up, but in fairness, he didn't make it up. The TV made it up.
Yeah, the TV made it up. Her opinion I thought was interesting because it was really legitimately a small c conservative opinion about the importance, like the critical importance of state sovereignty. And so I thought that was really interesting. And then Trump this morning, when he was asked about it, very clearly had not read the opinion, very clearly did not even know who had issued the opinion, because he kept referring to her as a man.
Yeah, this is Judge Karen Immergut, who previous to this was best known to me as the person who, for Ken Starr's team during the Clinton impeachment, actually took Monica Lewinsky's deposition. So, you know, she's got conservative bona fides going way back, but she's from a different era of conservatism than Trump. Anyway, nice to see that at least some of the Republican district judges are still holding to small c conservative principles, as Meister Machine says.
I was 10 years old when that happened. These people never go away. I mean, I'm glad that she wrote the opinion this way on today, but like...
The 90s are so back, baby.
I do not want yellow, teal, and magenta. I'm sorry.
Listen, man. They never died here.
That's true.
Dream of the 90s.
So, downstream of that, the Trump administration has claimed that they are going to send the California National Guard that is already federalized in California into Portland. This, I think, is going to be a mistake for them legally. One of the reasons why we haven't seen red state National Guard troops deployed to blue states so far is that there are fairly significant constitutional principles about state sovereignty that come into play front and center when you're talking about deploying troops from one state to another state without invitation and without consent.
They're already here. According to the governor, they started arriving today. It sounds like they flew them overnight last night from California to get out here. So almost immediately after the ruling, like just as far as timing goes, that's almost how it had to have happened.
So they've got 28 days left before they rotate them out, because they're not going to pay them. So, you know, there's a clock here.
And the other thing is that you've got their troops from one state who are ostensibly under the command of one governor being deployed to another state. Neither governor consents to this. Not both governors vociferously disagree with it, which seems like a legal mess.
I think this is just the weakest terrain they could have chosen to fight for the principle that you can deploy National Guard. You can deploy federalized National Guard from one state into another state without consent. There's a bunch of other bad facts for them in this pattern, such as that, you know, California doesn't want to send these troops. Oregon doesn't want to receive these troops. There's already been an adverse ruling about the necessity of deploying the National Guard in any case under emergency conditions to Portland in federal court. And, you know, the Ninth Circuit is not the liberal bastion it used to be, but this is in the Ninth Circuit, and that's not a gimme circuit for Trump by any means.
That's what I thought was interesting about that small c conservative opinion. That opinion is not intended to win over liberals. That's not who that is written for. It's just wild, and it's wild to be going through this again. This was really stressful in 2020 for everybody who lived here in Portland, and it's much more farcical this time. I think everybody who listens to this show probably follows at least one, if not most of us, on the line, and so you've probably seen me rant about this, but like, we are talking about one building. It is one building in Southwest Portland. Prior to this administration, it had kindergarten or a preschool down the street. That had to be moved because the neighborhood is full of tear gas all the time. There's an apartment building that is basically unrentable now because it is full of tear gas, and you've got drums going every night. This is one building. ICE is also in violation of their contract with the city of Portland about this building. This is another part of that.
It's not even a particularly large building, correct?
No, so the contract with the city of Portland that ICE has stipulations about how long they can hold people in this facility. ICE has been in violation of these basically as long as they have had this building, as far as I can tell. But the city of Portland has decided now that they intend to enforce that contract. And so we will see what happens. I think that there are some indications from city government that make it look like the city may be gearing up to try to actually evict this facility. But that's going to be a long road. There's a lot of legal work that has to happen there first, but they have taken the first steps.
And there are actual federal buildings in Portland, but this isn't one of them. This is a lease building rather than an owned building.
That's correct.
All this over a rental.
Every image I see is of like this entryway arcade that looks, like it's reasonably pleasant architecture for somebody's patio, but it doesn't exactly seem like flashpoint of major violence.
It's really weird that this is the building that they're going to give Woke 2 the reason to invade Idaho. Right? like this is a weird spot. This is a weird spot to lay the future for the Third Republic.
Yeah, I mean this is Four Seasons landscaping stuff, right? Like you book the venue you can book, not the venue you want to book.
All of this is just that Trump legitimately hates Portland. I'm not even sure Donald Trump has ever been to Portland. I was thinking about this earlier this last week. I'm not sure he's ever actually been here. But Donald Trump hates Portland and wants Portland as someone to kick around. And a city to kick around. And we're not as big as Chicago. We're not as wealthy as Seattle. We're not, completely inundated with kind of cameras everywhere like LA. It's a city full of mostly weird artists and weirdos, right?
You can't golf. The beaches are terrible. I can't stand this city.
One thing the Rose City does have going for it from the Trump perspective, though, is that there are conservative nutcases fairly nearby. Are they an element that you're seeing at the protests at this point?
So I haven't been out to these specific ICE protests. I've only been out at the bigger ones on the waterfront. I do know that there are a bunch of right-wing influencer types who are on scene and, starting trouble. A couple of them have already gotten arrested by PPB for starting trouble. The other thing that protesters here are reporting is that there is a large number of videographers who are embedded with the ICE folks at this protest or at these ongoing protests. And what it sort of seems like might be happening is that our big wet president is being inundated by all of his scheming viziers with all of this custom created footage that ICE are producing that is primarily geared towards him as the audience. And it's absolutely bizarre.
Which led to a very fun comment from him in which he talked about speaking with Governor Tina Kotek. Is that how that's pronounced? And he said, I spoke to the governor. She was very nice. But I said, well, wait a minute. Am I watching things on television that are different from what's happening? My people tell me different. They're literally attacking and there are fires all over the place. It looks terrible.
Yeah. It's the president of the United States admitting that he can't tell the difference between reality and television.
At some point, we have to do something about Fox News. Yeah. Is really the takeaway that I'm getting from this, because the level of alternate reality that you're seeing, and not just on this, but also on this, is just shocking. Like, if you are one of the weird people who still has a cable subscription, you should go look at it for like 5 minutes, because it's probably the median good and very attractive normal men listener would be able to really sort of like stomach. It's weird. They're just like inventing stuff. They're layering on culture war beefs from 2008. It's just this cavalcade of bullshit at all times. And so they can just sneak in new bullshit anytime they want. And now suddenly Portland's on fire instead of just, being the second best Portland. I don't really... I don't understand how this is supposed to like work. That's all. Like... There has to be an off-ramp, and they do not seem to be wanting one.
Ed, yeah. You would also kick us while we are down?
Yes, I would. I was in the good Portland over the weekend. It was delightful.
Whatever, Maynard.
You know, for what it's worth, Trump actually had a Truth Social post this weekend tearing into Fox News. So there might be a little trouble in paradise.
But that didn't stop him from watching.
Also true.
Yeah, but the thing that you have to remember is still going on with Fox News is that Lachlan basically runs Fox News now, and Lachlan's a dipshit. Like, Lachlan is definitely not Rupert in terms of his strategic acumen, nor his connection to politicians. Lachlan's a moron. And so I think that some of our Fox News problems might sort of sort themselves out over the longer term.
They don't have Roger Ailes around anymore either. You know, at one point they had some legitimate talent in propaganda network building and operation, and it's not clear to me that talent yet remains. That's going to be an interesting thing as we watch CBS kind of progress through its fail son / Barry Weiss era. Also, because Chris Cornell killed him. They died on the same day. I'm choosing to believe that Cornell did it.
I mean, first good thing he ever did.
Oh.
You're just trying to get the whole Northwest mad at you now, man.
Yeah, really. I mean, what? How many woke 2 legions do they command?
More than Boston.
Oh, I don't know. You guys are tiny.
So a weird thing about this is that it has engendered a moment of unity between local, county, and city politicians in the state of Oregon.
That never happens.
No, it's otherwise normally impossible. So normally we have interesting governance in Portland. And we're also in the midst of a brand new city government. So we have a brand new city government that has a couple of DSA folks on it.
DSA is Democratic Socialists of America.
We have a brand new mayor who is new to politics and is serving in a mayoral role in Portland that has never existed previously. So he's actually in a much weaker mayor position than the mayor normally is. We have Multnomah County, who are the biggest county that Portland resides within, who is constantly at political warfare with the city of Portland, typically about the allocation of funds. And then you have the governor, and some Oregon governors take a strong interest in Portland and some don't. They are all singing from the same sheet of music in a really interesting way. There was I want to say an Oregonian piece or an Oregon Capital Chronicle piece from last week that detailed that Kochak has essentially been having like state level security council meetings with everyone for weeks, and in some cases for months. State of Oregon has anticipated this, and the city of Portland has anticipated this, and they have shown a level of coordination that this region and this area and this city is not usually known for.
That's great that the locals are kind of rising to meet the moment here.
If there's one thing that pretty much everyone involved in Oregon government at any level can agree on, it's that they all hate Donald Trump.
I can't imagine why.
Has there been an uptick in ice snatchings that you're aware of?
Not that I am aware of. These are hard things to track, and there definitely have been some. So my friend Kate from a band called Calais mentioned the other day that a neighbor of hers got snatched basically right off the street. And so it's definitely happening here, just like it's happening everywhere, but not super visibly. Like, and it doesn't seem like doesn't seem like we don't have like a lot of like ice patrols the way you're seeing in footage from like Chicago, for example. Now, I don't know if that is because people just don't catch them on video or they're not happening nearly as often. I have maybe seen federal agents once, and like I'm on the bus 2.5 hours every day for work, and I go through a big chunk of the city. This just isn't something that I see very often. It might happen further out in East Portland because that's not where I go through, but but you don't see the kind of presence that even it looked like you were seeing in DC.
That's going to be interesting because this will be the first time that we've seen this kind of stepped up militarization / surge that hasn't been accompanied by an ICE surge, if that's the case.
I'm fully expecting that's coming next.
So something to keep an eye on, particularly if we think that the capacity is a limitation, because I mean there's still a pretty high level of ICE activity here in DC. Obviously, they're trying to surge in Chicago right now. The fact that they have a limited number of bodies is going to come into play if they're trying to do this in too many places at once.
Well, I don't understand why they're having so much trouble recruiting. Did you not see the thrilling recruitment posters with one Stephen Miller on them? Head so friggin' shiny that it observable from space.
I mean, if ever there were a guy you would want to follow into hell.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's Stephen Miller, right?
He would eat you alive and you would thank him for it. Wait, that's the other thing. Horrifying. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the executive capacity, so many grad students, when all of this is over, are going to write so many papers about how stupid this was, right? Like yeah. Somebody's going to have to try to explain this in a way that doesn't delegitimize the entire canon of like political science in America. And I don't envy them. They can't friggin' run a lemonade stand at this point. It's offensive that we are being terrorized by people that are this stupid.
Yes.
I don't have any other way to put it.
This is part of why the Portland incursion is sort of interesting, because it's being met as the farce it kind of deserves.
Yeah.
And you've got everybody from, both our senators and the governor and the mayor and the head of the county and everybody else are basically saying, don't take the bait. And so far, Portland is not taking the bait. Portland is creating entirely new forms of bait for these Fed goons.
Host.
We joked about a naked bike ride earlier on podcast. That wasn't a joke. They actually did a naked bike ride.
I like how we were both going to the same terrible place. I appreciate that.
Portland's got their inflatable frogs. They've got their nude cyclists. They've got their Roombas with flamethrowers attached. They're ready.
Yes. The naked bike ride thing is a funny thing that, like, the first year you live here, you're completely bewildered by. And then a couple of years in, you're like, oh, yeah, no, it's just, old flappy dongs rolling down the street.
That's not a Portland-specific thing, right?
Oh, no, but Portland really...
No, I know, but, there's the World Naked Bike Ride Association.
No, but what you don't understand is that Portland's split into two warring groups.
Well, yeah. You can't... You elected 2 DSA seats to your city council. I don't ever have trouble believing you have factionalism in your naked bike rides.
So Portland is like the Disco Elysium studio for naked bike riding.
And we can make that joke because George isn't here.
All the best from those of us at Normal Men to Portland, and good luck with what's coming.
Well, thanks. Holding it down in our very normal city.
So we've had some other news in this last week. Here in D.C., the talk of the town is the government shutdown. The government shut down on Tuesday when Democrats did not, at least initially, buckle. The initial vote did have 3 members of the Democratic caucus pried off to vote for the continuing resolution. I take that to be a somewhat negative sign on the ability of Democrats to sustain this, but we'll see. Polling has been mostly Republican blaming since then. And there have not been the kinds of obvious breaks in the caucus that sometimes precede a fold.
You say 3, and I know you said caucus, but we have to stress, It's 2 Democrats and Angus King.
It is 2 Democrats and Angus King, yeah.
Angus King is like if you gave ChatGPT a friggin' Senate seat.
Yeah, why is Angus King siding with him? I thought Angus King was like a fairly liberal senator.
I mean,
I think he just thinks it's a stupid shutdown.
it is a stupid shutdown.
He's liberal, but he's liberal in the same way that Susan Collins is conservative, right? Like, yes, technically the label fits, but really it's like, these are the most Glonzo-ass humans you'll find outside of Fetterman. But like, I believe King's entire thing was like, by shutting down the government, we're actually giving Donald Trump more power. It's honestly maybe true. In fairness, what are you going to do? Just give it to him anyway?
Does he actually sound like that?
Not really. Lately, I've been getting annoyed and giving people quasi Kermit the Frog jokes when I'm mad at them. It's fine.
Absolutely top tier mustache on that man, though. I enjoy the King mustache.
He has had that mustache for my entire life. And like, because he was governor before this. And he was occasionally a gadfly in Maine politics at various points. And all you remember, mustache. Hair, used to be better. Mustache, perfect.
So Ed brought up that there's some concern that the shutdown will enable Donald Trump to do things he wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So far, from my perspective, that's kind of been the dog that hasn't barked. That we haven't really seen aggressive personnel actions coming in that are justified or enabled by a shutdown. We've seen some, at least, putative cancellations of federal grants to various infrastructure projects, especially exclusively in blue states, that I think is going to be, A, I don't think it's really enabled by the shutdown. They could have done this either way. But B, that is going to, I think, have a tough time in court eventually.
I mean, you say they haven't abused their power, but they went into Microsoft Outlook and changed everyone's auto responses.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's actually kind of a big deal, which is, okay, so there's something called the Hatch Act, which is supposed to provide a restraint on government employees doing political messaging. And, you know, it's something that has generally been acknowledged in the breach more than in the observance. In lots of cases, like, people violate the Hatch Act all the freaking time. And, you know, it gets a line in the paper that so-and-so did such and such in violation of the Hatch Act. And
they usually don't violate it for other people, though.
Correct. One thing we have seen here is that furloughed feds are having their out-of-office message changed to blame Democrats for the shutdown. Which
the pettiest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, right? Like, I mean, it's middle school stuff. There has been nearly universal messaging on government agency homepages that blame the Democrats for the shutdown. It's very, very clear that there are no compunctions about using the organs of government to blame Democrats for the shutdown.
It's also the clumsiest wording ever. Like there's absolutely no sort of tact or nuance about it, or even like attempt to try to make it seem believable.
Their idea of believable comes from Facebook posts. What do you want from these people?
So we all agree that Stephen Miller wrote the language, right?
I think he's potentially more literate than that. This is like the sub-assistant to the Stephen Miller.
I don't know.
It might have been Stephen Chung.
He did go to Duke.
Yeah. It's not as fun to rag on Duke when George is gone.
No, but we have standards to maintain.
So, I mean, my guess is that this is either the leftover Doge guys who are doing the messaging, or it's a bunch of 23-year-old Liberty grads.
Can you please explain to me the difference?
Well, they're from different schools, for one thing. I don't think the Doge guys drew from Liberty very much, because
I think the Doge guys
do have to be able to like read.
I don't think Liberty has a computer science program.
Oh, now I have to know.
So the state of play on the shutdown is that it's going on. Nobody knows exactly when it's going to be over. There is a potential off ramp early next week when the Senate comes back. Democrats could fold there, or there could be a nuclear resolution. But because Michael Johnson has taken the House home for the next week, there can't be a deal unless they're called back. because the House would then have to approve something besides the continuing resolution that they've already approved.
If I didn't hate them both so much, I would maybe kind of appreciate just how badly Johnson has absolutely screwed John Thune on this entire deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a useful pre-commitment device for Johnson to be able to kind of throw the steering wheel out the window and say, all right, we're playing chicken here, because he doesn't have to then deal with his often fractious caucus. And if you recall, this is essentially the same kind of thing that got the last Republican Speaker of the House booted, was handling or mishandling continuing resolution government funding stuff.
I have a really hard time thinking Gingrich but stupid, because I don't have any respect for Gingrich.
I mean, Gingrich was at least a stupid man's idea of a smart man.
Yeah, oh, he was. He wrote so many books. He's the Bill O'Reilly of the Senate.
His wife has extensive experience in like photo filtering apps. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
what?
You know, that skill plays.
Oh no, have you never seen that?
No.
So like when she was ambassador, God, was she ambassador to the Vatican?
She was ambassador to the Vatican.
Yes, when she was ambassador to the Vatican.
A job?
Yes. She would constantly post these photos of her and sometimes Newt Gingrich, but mostly just her, with like the most aggressive phone app photo filtering you have ever seen. She looked like Odo from Deep Space Nine.
And there's the Star Trek mention. Check.
God, of all the people to appoint as ambassador to the Vatican, Newt Gingrich's wife? Like, this is the same wife.
Not Newt Gingrich's first wife, to be clear, yeah.
Right. This was the one he walked in on his first wife, who I believe was receiving cancer treatment. He walked in with this second wife on his arm to hand the first wife the divorce papers, right?
While she was in the hospital.
Yes.
Getting chemo.
She's now our ambassador to Switzerland.
She's got experience.
Look, Switzerland's a great place for the photo filters, you know?
I mean, you can do some magic with a phone these days. You can load a LUT on. You can have some like nice warm glow no matter what time of day it is. You don't have to get up early. It's never been better for the wannabe influencer / wife of a ghoul.
So shutdown-wise, what everybody wants to know, at least in my city, is when it's going to be over, because about 750,000 federal employees are furloughed right now, meaning that they can't work. This is not just, we're not paying you and you don't have to work. They're locked out of work. They cannot perform work under the conditions of the shutdown.
It's also just a few days, like less than a week after, what was it, like 175,000 federal employees just left the payroll permanently.
Yeah, although they were already gone. They weren't working anymore. Those were the fork in the road roll-offs that were getting paid through the end of the fiscal year. So they're gonna show up eventually in the labor numbers if we ever get jobs numbers again, because they don't count as being unemployed for purposes of BLS until they're no longer receiving that negotiated severance. Anyway, so that's going to be a big hit to jobs numbers eventually when jobs numbers do come back. But in terms of day-to-day operation of federal agencies, those guys were already gone.
So there's also, in addition to the fork in the road people, there's also the people who got RIF'd, right?
Yes, there are also
agencies.
Yes, that's true.
And RIF means reduction in force, for the record. That's what you implement when you're reducing the federal workforce at a given agency. How many people were a part of those? Do you have any idea?
I don't have the RIF numbers offhand. I think that it was not a tremendous number of people who were RIF'd. Like,
I think it was tens of thousands, like 60,000 comes to mind for some reason.
And the speculation was that some of that was probably going to pull forward some attrition that would have happened anyway. That, you know, it is a reduction in the size of it is a net reduction in the size of the federal workforce. There was a lot of speculation that Russ Vought at OMB would take advantage of the shutdown to issue a bunch of RIF notices. And that hasn't really happened yet. That's not to say that it can't happen. Trump has been posting memes about how Russ Vought can do all these things and has all these new powers under the shutdown. It's deeply weird to me that the White House is taking that messaging stance that they are able to do things that they're not visibly doing yet.
Well, and things that are grossly unpopular too, right? Like it is not super popular to give this power to fire tens or hundreds of thousands of federal employees, mostly to punish Democrats, which is also a part of their messaging. There is no messaging going on here. There's no like coordinated strategy here.
So, I mean, what you want during a shutdown is for the public to blame the other guys, right? And it's very difficult to blame the other guys if you're sitting there rubbing your hands together gleefully over what you can do. But it's even weirder to blame the other guys if you're sitting there rubbing your hands gleefully over what you can do and not actually doing any of it. You're incurring the costs, or you're incurring a lot of the costs without incurring the benefit.
It's just like the first day of the shutdown, which was 4 days ago now. Time isn't real. 50% of independents said that it was Trump and the Republicans' fault. Like 33% of Republicans either blamed their own party or were unsure. I think like 25% of it was unsure. But like, let's be honest, most of that is, I just don't want to say the thing that makes my belly feels hurt. And so it's like, they all know. And the only way you could potentially get some of those Republicans back is to do your evil shit. The fact that they are not doing their evil shit suggests to me that they know they can't.
Right. There was also a point the other day where some Fox News reporter asked Mike Johnson something to the effect of like, how is it that you're taking this so seriously when the White House is trolling everyone? And then Johnson had to come up with some terrible excuse that nobody buys.
I don't think they're trolling anybody.
Thank you.
I think they're being very serious about this.
We haven't gotten the full polling that we'll probably have by tomorrow. I would guess that we're going to have another couple of polls that were in the field over the weekend on who the public is blaming. But the early polling indications are that it's, as Ed said, that it's heavily Republicans that are taking the hit for this. That certainly strengthens the Democratic bargaining position. There are some signs that Democrats might be trying to work towards a resolution. Like I said earlier, the fact that 3 of them already jumped ship is not a great sign. Assuming Rand Paul gets back on side, that means they only need 4 more. And you can see the outlines of that between potentially the New Hampshire senators who have been interested in keeping the government going previously. I think Jackie Rosen, the other Nevada senator, is almost certain to be on whatever capitulation set comes together. The question in my mind is whether they can do it going around leadership or whether they're going to have leadership on board to break. And that requires insight into the workings of the Democratic Senate caucus that we don't have from the outside. Whether Chuck Schumer is still actively whipping against some kind of fold.
I mean, like, Schumer either has to vote for ending the shutdown or he needs to resign in that situation, right? Like, if they go against him, literally, what is his reason for existing?
I mean, because nobody else wants the job.
Yes, I understand that part.
Part of the honest answer. Like, I mean, I've said my piece on the situation that Chuck has put himself into here and elsewhere, but I think at this point, his highest and best use is essentially as a sin eater for the Democratic caucus. His job is to get us through the 2026 cycle with as many Democratic senators as possible. And there's not really a future career for him to worry about. He could theoretically run again in 2028, which is when he's up. He'd be at 78, I think 79 at the time that at the time he'd start his next 6-year term. But he's blown a great deal of credibility with Democrats writ large. He might draw a primary challenger. It makes a lot of sense for him just to hand the baton off to somebody else at that point.
No, totally. And like, I have agreed with you on Chuck Schumer as sin eater for a long time. I'm more worried about what it does, like, institutionally going forward. If it becomes, hey, let's just tell the leadership to go screw when we're getting ants in our pants.
One of the things that remains true, and we talked about this last week, is that the stakes of this CR are not extraordinarily high. This is basically a clean CR. Yeah, no, I mean, just in terms of being able to wield the whip over the caucus, yeah, that's a big deal. It's possible that leadership would try to position themselves to be part of a fold so as not to be cut out of a fold. I would also say that, we said they need 4 more. Probably they need more than 4 more because the screws are really going to get put to whoever's the marginal vote if they get to that point. And also, if Rand Paul stays off doing his Rand Paul thing, they actually need 8 rather than 7.
And this is just for a CR. They have another actual funding bill that they have to deal with immediately after this, right?
Well, so the CR runs through, I want to say it's mid-November. In theory, what Democrats are trying to bargain for is a re-upping of the ACA subsidies, which is a significant pot of money that would be put towards helping people afford insurance on the exchanges. I think there's various reasons that that's been chosen as the ask. It's probably the easiest thing to hold the caucus on, which is its major virtue. But there's no way that Republicans are going to barter away ACA subsidies in exchange for a CR. They're just not going to do that because it's more valuable than a 7-week CR. So the straight fold scenario is not real to me. If you think that eventually Republicans are going to agree to the ACA subsidies, they're going to agree to that as part of an omnibus appropriations deal that funds the government for much longer than 7 weeks, probably through the end of the next fiscal year, and also has a bunch of Republican priorities in it. It's going to be a bipartisan deal. It's going to pass with Democratic votes, both in the Senate and in the House, and that's going to be the real deal. We can't get there from the position we're at right now. Negotiations on that bipartisan appropriation deal, if such a thing were to exist, haven't really been underway, at least in the House. It may be that this is something that the Senate leads and that gets us across the finish line. But there's still a lot of work to be done on getting to anything that might be a mutually acceptable deal. And the time is getting kind of short. If we get to November, I think that's when the enrollment letters need to go out for insurance. And there's going to be some blowback when people see the prices in their mailbox.
So, Proctor, would you say that means that we're in one battle after another?
I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
No, I don't know. I actually really want to go see it, but I wanted to see what you guys had been up to other than like politics news lately.
So one of the nice things is that this is pretty much all of the politics that I get, aside from random things on Blue Sky. I've kind of cut most of it out of my life, which means for a really interesting lens where Proctor is an uncomfortable amount of my political analysis right now. That and people who quote tweet me on Blue Sky. But anyway, in addition to having my eyes lasered open, I have been playing Hades 2 until my hands hurt, which doesn't take that long because that is a very, very difficult game. I just finished it. I just saw credits. I shouldn't say finished last night. And it's the first game that almost makes me understand the Hollow Knight people.
So it's hard.
And I say that. Yes. But the difference is it's like not cheaply hard. If I can editorialize a little bit.
If I may speak for the insects, I don't feel Hollow Knight is cheaply hard either. I've been watching my elder son play through Silksong, which, he's doing. It's kind of amazing. I haven't seen him get frustrated at all, despite the fact that it is an extremely frustrating game in lots of places. He's just like, oh, okay, I guess I better go do this corpse run and then go fight that boss and die again.
I think that there's a certain difference to that when you don't have a job. Because I definitely remember enjoying games like that a lot more when I, had free time, parentheses, what's that? As opposed to honestly, the reason Hades 1 was like this, but like Hades 2, which just came out of early access. And if you like video games, you should play it because it has modes that are less punishingly evil. It really is kind of, you never don't move forward, right? There is no way to get a strict loss. Even if you get wiped very early on, you have still gained some of the resources. It can incrementally make the next bit easier. I played Hades 1, so I kind of cleared it pretty fast, but it's also just a much more specific game than Hades 1 was, and a lot of the games that have come out since that have been trying to be like it, where it makes you balance and juggle a lot of different stuff. You have a number of different resources. It has almost too many ways to play the game in terms of weapons you can use and how it changes your moveset and the way the game operates really on a very fundamental level. But there's no punishment for trying. There's no punishment for experimenting. And again, that you can always move forward really makes even playing for like half an hour a lot more rewarding than, I don't know, getting killed early on. And I wasn't even going to make a Hollow Knight joke here. I was thinking of the Soulses of the world where one bad afternoon and you're going to have a really bad week.
Low-tech speedrun enjoyer, what have you been up to as of late?
Not a whole lot, honestly. I've been watching my football teams get their heads kicked in by other trash ass teams. The Dolphins choked against the Panthers. So there you go, George. Congrats. Florida State, despite Mario Cristobal's best efforts to piss the game away, Florida State fell to the evil Miami Hurricanes. I mean, the Joker has to win sometimes too, you know.
At some point, you should do a total ranking of what Florida teams are evil and like rank them by evilness.
Okay,
Florida
so
Panthers,
Miami
number 1.
No, Florida Panthers
they're
are
like
good.
12th.
I mean, a lot of the Florida teams aren't evil. It's just like, who cares? Like, no one cares about Jacksonville. No one cares about the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Bucks or whatever.
No, people do care about the Tampa Bay Lightning. I made a joke about the Florida Panthers and I retracted because I forgot the Lightning exist. That is a team of fucking divey Canadians wannabes from there's lore.
I can absolutely see why someone from the Northeast, or especially for the poor folks north of the border, why they would despise the Panthers and the Lightning, because Florida, as you all know,
kind of likes the Panthers these days. They're fine. But
yeah,
like the Lightning have historically been, I mean, hockey is a game of complaining, and they are masters.
Okay, say more about. I don't really understand that. Say more about that because
So, like,
wait. Before we get there,
you do have your power rankings.
You do have to know that the Panthers owner is probably the most MAGA chuddiest owner in the NHL.
That's got to be stiff competition.
Vincent Viola, which is the name of. He probably has lawyers. I'm not going to finish that sentence. He's the chairman of the New York Mercantile Exchange. He definitely has lawyers. But no, that yeah, fair enough. But I have a feeling you'll find most of the league has certain amounts of chud in their ownership group. So I have trouble blaming them for that. But the thing about hockey or the NHL is that there are really two and a half classes of players. There's the guys, and then there's the guys who score lots of goals, and then they start whining when they don't score the goals, when somebody hits them. Basically, when someone else has the temerity to exist on the ice with them. The Lightning built their team for, 16 years. Sorry, Nashville. Around Steven Stamkos, who is not my favorite player. He definitely doesn't feature in some Boston Bruins lore.
But other than that stuff, I've just been doing. I am also playing Hollow Knight. I do need to try Hades 2 at some point. I did not play Hades 1.
You should play Hades 1 first. I mean, you can play Hades 2 now. No, the cops are not going to come for you, but it's a good on-ramp.
I will play Hades 1 when they update it for the Switch 2, so that it runs better.
It runs perfectly on Switch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, like I played it on Switch first. It's great.
Well, unlike the rest of you, I get out of my house, so I have.
Yeah, because you're on a bus 2.5 hours a day. That doesn't count.
I have been spending a lot of my time at my rehearsal studio, where we walked into a murder scene 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
Hang on, like literally a murder scene?
Literally, yes, a murder scene, and literally, yes, walked into. Like, walked out the front door from our rehearsal studio into a space that was taped off.
Didn't one of you have to get a ride home because the vehicle was in the tape?
Oh, yeah, we all had to. So there's only one of us that drives. That's my guitarist, Dylan. And their car was in the taped off zone. So Leo and I had to get a ride home. So that was interesting. Although I have been in that space on and off across a couple different bands for almost 10 years, and it's genuinely surprising to me that that's the first time it's happened. It's like right in industrial Portland, like in a rough area.
They don't let the bands practice in the nice places.
But on the video game front, Ghost of Yotai so far is fantastic and was an excellent distraction from low-flying helicopters yesterday.
I've heard that's really good. I will get around to it in like 2036, but like when it comes up, I'll be excited.
How is it on cutscenes?
Oh, there are many.
Okay.
What's interesting about it is that it is thoroughly a different game from Ghost of Tsushima. The entire story, all of the characters, the entire bent of it is very different while using kind of the same mechanics. And as we had fed helicopters circling our neighborhood low all night last night, I really kind of appreciated someone who goes through and kills thieves and kills scum without really any compunction whatsoever.
So we've got a good governance fantasy here.
I ask about the cutscenes, of course, because as you all know, I despise cutscenes in video games. I made the mistake of downloading that Death Stranding game.
That's not fair. Death Stranding is not a video game. Death Stranding is an actual walking simulator, not the pejorative walking simulator for delightful narrative epics. That game is about walking.
Everybody raves about that stupid game. I downloaded it from PS Plus. I spent like 3.5 hours of it. I think 10 minutes was actual gameplay.
Yeah, that's about right.
The most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life.
The highlight of that game is when you get a ladder. And then you put it up, and then the ladder stays there. This game has an entire, weight distribution mechanic for the stuff you're carrying. It's genuinely it is the simulator version of QWOP.
Not to mention the first hour or so of the game. Now, the one thing I will give him is the music is great, but the first hour of the game is like title screen stuff coming up, like, Hideo Kojima production, directed by Hideo Kojima, in association with Hideo Kojima. And there's like 9,000 of these things that pop up, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy has to be like the worst fucking boss to ever have to deal with.
I think, genuinely, he actually seems like he's all right. Most of his team jumped ship after Konami fired them all. Some of it, I think, is actually an attempted irony. Because, so, there's lore there. When they all got fired, this entire team used to work for Konami Productions, or Konami as, Kojima Productions, a brand name for them, making the Metal Gear Solid games. And during the last one, they all got fired. Or at least Kojima, the director/author, got fired. Oh no, I'm doing the proper thing now. Seemingly in retaliation, they put credits after every mission in that game. And it's Hideo Kojima shows up in 5 places on all of these credits. And you see these credits at least 30 times when you play that game to completion. So at some point it kind of becomes an extended piss take. Where Death Stranding itself seems like an excuse to just hang out because he seems to genuinely be fond of Norman Reedus. Somebody just keeps giving him money for this. I don't I am a Kojima enjoyer from the old school. Sega CD heads know that game's not a game. That game is just a way to get Sony to pay for his junkets to the United States. And then some people buy it anyway.
You are one of 5 people who owned a Sega CD. You realize that, right?
That's true. I had a Saturn too. I think we have prevailed upon the people's time enough this evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, fellas, it is very good to talk to you, and I'm very happy to be back. I would like to come back here in a couple of weeks with another episode of Mailbag. So if you're listening to this, follow any of our Blue Sky accounts. We'll have instructions for submitting questions for Mailbag again. Looking forward to joining these guys again and asking them uncomfortable questions that I'm not going to give them any heads up on.
I'm terrified.
Hell yeah.
From DC, I'm Proctor Malone.
From outer Florida, I'm low-tax speedrun enjoyer.
I am Go Like Hell Machine from Antifa-controlled Portland.
And I'm Ed from Boston. And before we all go, I did just stumble across something that I figured I should share in its entirety, because it'll leave you with a good feeling for things. Quote, "The second Trump revolution, like the first, is failing. It is failing because it deserves to fail.
Yes.
It is failing because it spends all its time patting itself on the back. It is failing because its true mission, which neither it nor, still less, its supporters understand, is still as far beyond its reach as algebra is beyond a cat. Because the vengeance meted out after its failure will dwarf the vengeance after 2020, because the successes of the second revolution are so much greater than the first, insert fart noise here, I feel that I personally have to start thinking realistically about how to flee the country. Everyone else in a similar position should have a 2029 plan as well. And it is not even clear that it will wait until 2029. Losing the Congress will instantly put the administration on the defensive." That was Curtis Yarvin. He's having a great time. And I hope you all have a wonderful week. Good night.